Hello and welcome to The Block, the first Minecraft Survivor and org community interview podcast. I'm your host, professional victim, Kidmodo, and today we have a real special guest for you. Joining us this afternoon is the penguin himself, Asher. Asher has recently reached 200 subscribers on his YouTube channel. He's a veteran of the major series in the community. He's played in both Minecraft Survivor Kidmodo and, of course, a glorious stint in Minecraft Survivor the Caribbean. However, more recently and successfully, Asher has played and won JP Season 2 of North Dakota. And he's here to tell us all about his success, talk a little bit about the community as a whole. So please welcome Asher. Asher, thank you so much for coming.
Oh my god, I wasn't prepared for that introduction. Thank you.
Yes, of course.
Nice to be here. Nice to be here.
Yeah, so thanks again for taking some time and being the sort of inaugural person for this. I just sort of had the idea, and I figured you'd be a great person to talk to. So I'm gonna catch you off guard again. I'm gonna just jump right in. Basically, I was rewatching the finale the other night, and I kind of realized that you basically were the deciding vote back to back. I hope you don't take this the wrong way. You come across as like a bit, I would say, meek, a little bit like, agreeable. Is that like a tough situation to be in where like basically 2 votes in a row you had someone begging for their game to you and that decision was entirely your own?
Yeah, I think the meekness is, well, first of all, that's something that I've been working on, and it's really hard to control just because of my voice and my personality. So I'm just always going to come across like that pretty much no matter what I do. And I do think that in terms of like these survivors as a whole, that probably does put me at like a disadvantage. So when I'm in that situation where people are sort of begging for my vote, it was scary and alarming because it was like, am I in a good position or am I the GOAT? And there really isn't any way to know that until the end. So all I tried to do was just make the best decision for me, and then try to also like talk it up a bit and make sure people knew that I had some power, because I did not want to get to the end and be a GOAT. That was not what I wanted to have happen.
Yeah, so I mean, just kind of going off of that, it's one thing to win a season, I'd say. Like, there are seasons every single weekend. You can sign up and play Survivor in this community, like pretty much on any given Saturday or Sunday. But it's another thing to win a recorded, and then even beyond that, you won a recorded by a unanimous jury vote. Do those like qualifiers make the win feel better in your eyes in any way, or is it, a win's a win regardless of where you're playing and who you're playing with?
Oh man, that was crazy. Like, finding out that I played a perfect game, because I had not expected to get every single jury vote. I thought for sure that Echo would steal a couple of them, even though I was pretty sure that I won. But yeah, that was really my first win in like a Minecraft game show, so I have nothing to compare it to. I can just tell you that it felt very good, and I was definitely very proud of myself after having a lot of failures. It felt good to finally know that I did what I set out to do.
You mentioned this. I have I have this a little further down in my notes, but I think it just kind of naturally fits based on what you just said. I think we need to talk about the cast just a little bit. You mentioned Echo specifically. I want to hear your thoughts on just some of, because we saw some like really, I think even more so than any other recorded season that I've seen, we saw some like really insane characters and personalities in this season. And I just kind of wanted to like get your thoughts. Do you think people were taking the season seriously? And I guess going off of that too, like, does JP just bring out sort of like the crackhead energy, for lack of a better word, in his players? Like, what the hell was going on with some of the players that season?
However it came across, that's exactly what happened. I think you hit the nail on the head. JP definitely brings out the crackheadedness in all of us, even the best of us. And especially when, round after round, we're like, are we going to merge? Nope. Are we going to merge? Nope. And it's final 6 and we still haven't merged. so naturally people are just going to be a little delirious. But I think all things considered, people did give their best effort. There were some doubts about Echo just because of like some comments he made at the beginning of the game about I forget exactly what it was, but yeah, people were just sort of doubting his commitment and how much he actually wanted it. And then at final tribal, it was like he turned the switch and suddenly he was trying. And I think that might be part of the reason I was able to win. But yeah, nothing against Echo at all. I was probably the wrong person for Echo to sit next to just because our games themselves were pretty similar. And I had sort of conveyed my passion a lot more than he had, at least in my eyes. And I think some other jury members felt this way as well. So his strategy of turning it on right at the end wasn't really as effective next to me when I had sort of explained how that I had been giving it my 100% the entire way through. So that was sort of a bad situation for Echo to be in.
Do you think, not to continue to harp on Echo, but do you think that he was more undone by the twist? And I'll get your comments on the twist in a second, but because it's definitely a unique one to say the least. But do you think like his antics and behavior led more to the reason why, and again, not to take away from your win either, but it did seem like the jury really, struggled to vote for Echo in the end. Do you think that was more due to the fact that he had only been to like 2 tribal councils before the final 3, or was it
Yeah,
like his antics and attitude?
I think it was majorly because of the twist, and same for me. The two of us, at least in my eyes, really only had a chance up against each other just because everyone else had some sort of story arc. Like Lizzie and Gum, they went to a lot of tribal councils, Red went to a lot of tribal councils, and the two of us, we just didn't really have that. So I think that the twist definitely put us at a disadvantage in that sense. His antics, I don't really think that caused it. I respected Echo's game a lot. I just thought, like, I was still worried that I might lose against him. So I don't know how the jury felt about that. You'd probably have to ask them, but I would say it's probably the twist. It's hard to justify a win with only 2 tribals, but I mean, at the same time, he had that safety without power advantage at whatever round it was. So if I had an advantage, I would want to use that as well. So I understand why he was like leaving tribal and stuff like that.
How are we feeling about the twist this many months later? Do we like it? Do we hate it? Do we want to see it again? How are we feeling about it?
I'm sorry, JP. I love you, but what were you on? I would really
Yeah.
like to know. It was fun to watch back just because of how ridiculous it was, but like, oh my god, as a player, that's like the worst thing. There's a lot of people this season that definitely got screwed over just because they had no options. Like they had exhausted everything. Usually you expect, a swap or a merge or something to save you, but people were pretty much forced to just like stick with their alliances, and I think me and Echo really suffered from that.
So I wanna shift for a second. Asher the Penguin, we heard a couple times Echo referring to you as Penguin during the season and in the recording. Is this like a classic case of like when you were younger, it's your favorite animal, and so like you made all your usernames and passwords and stuff Penguin? Or is this like an inside joke with some earlier friends? Give us a little bit of insight on Asher the Penguin.
Absolutely, it's because penguins were my favorite animal. What is there not to like about penguins? Penguins are pretty great. I've always been obsessed with them, and I made this Minecraft account when I was like 11 years old, and I just can't bring myself to change the name because it brings back a lot of good memories. So, yeah.
Is it Penguin Warrior, Penguin Soldier? It's like
It's
Penguin.
Penguin Warrior 02. Yeah.
Okay. All right, cool.
I was born in 2003, and that's what I tried to make it initially, but that was already taken, actually. Penguin Warrior
It's
03 was taken.
honestly, I imagine a lot of people born in the year 2003 are big fans of penguins. Was that right around like March of the Penguins and everything that came out? Have you seen? Is that like your favorite movie of all time?
I don't think I've ever seen that.
Wow.
That's probably around the right time. I liked Scamper the Penguin. It's like an animated show.
Okay.
You should
What
definitely
Happy
watch
Feet?
it.
I'm trying to think of like all the
Happy
penguin
Feet's
I
good too,
yeah.
but Scamper the Penguin is way better. Not as well known.
I think it's I think it's genuinely interesting to hear about this, at least like just how people ended up in this community. It is so diverse in like region and backgrounds and age and interests. But obviously the like thread of Survivor kind of ties us all together. So you kind of first appeared publicly in Kinabalu. Was that sort of your first stint in the Minecraft Survivor community, or were there others before that that I just didn't find in my research?
Yeah, that was the first one. I started watching Chris's series during the upload of Heroes versus Villains, and that was around December 2018, I want to say. Um, and I was like, wow, that looks cool. I should totally do that. And I, sometime in February, I think I Googled Minecraft Survivor applications, and it was around the time that Kyle had released his applications for season 5. So I applied and I wasn't really expecting anything. And I got an interview, I interviewed and I got on, and that's where it all started.
That's great. That's great. I literally I just love hearing about like how people kind of stumbled into the community.
Yeah.
You've sort of moved past just playing though. Like congrats on I think you're like one shy of 200 subscribers. Do you have more fun hosting, or do you still like get the competitive itch to play?
Oh, I think I enjoy playing more. Playing's a lot of fun. The reason I host is mostly because editing is like a passion of mine. I like sort of doing that on the side. The actual hosting itself can be pretty stressful, but I enjoy the editing a lot. So that's sort of why I went into that. But yeah, these days I don't really have that much time to play in many. Haven't really done much in the last year.
You've been around for a bit now. I would say you're a community veteran. Like as we approach sort of this like like we're not sure what's going to happen with Chris's series. Kyle is sort of redoing his older ones. Like it kind of seems like there's a gap in content coming up, not to mention with like coronavirus hopefully coming to an end here soon. um what are your feelings on the current like state of the Minecraft Survivor recorded community? Is there like big gaps in content, or do you feel like this is a good thing for like some of the smaller creators, like like a you or a JP, to maybe step up and fill sort of that missing content?
Yeah, I think that's really interesting. None of us really sort of know where it's going to go from here, but I think that no matter what, there's always going to be, a couple people that are dedicated to it and a couple people that are willing to put in the time to keep bringing content. There's definitely some great people out there. JP especially, like I think his series is so hilarious, even though it has like its own little quirky vibe. But if you like Minecraft Survivor, you should totally check it out because he puts a lot of work into it and it's really, really high quality. So I think no matter what, there's always going to be something out there. Even, if people that are doing it now stop doing it in the future.
I have one more question. It's all but been confirmed by JP at this point that there will be a third season. What are some pieces of advice? Because playing in JP's season does seem like unlike any other series. What would you give for that like next round of recruits that are coming in?
I would say don't take it too seriously because when you do that, you run the risk of not thinking clearly. So the best thing that I did during JP's was sort of just take a step back and say, I'm doing this to have fun. Whatever happens, happens. I'm not going to do stupid things like I did in Caribbean. Um, and yeah, I was just able to look at the game sort of in more of an objective light, I guess, and I saw what I needed to do and I did it. And I think you're more likely to have success if you can do that versus, getting really, really into the strategy and losing sight of how to play a good basic survivor game because JP's old school. You got to be ready for a final two. You got to be ready for a merge at the final five. You can't count on the fast paced speed of the game. So just take a step back, is what I'd say.
Well, Asher, when I DM'd you at like 1 a.m. the other night to do this. I genuinely had no idea how it was going to turn out, but I'm not just saying this for the record because I'll probably cut this out, but I think this was fantastic. I think your answers were great. You're awesome to talk to. Thank you so much for agreeing to do this. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. I'm blushing. Thank you.
And thank you all for listening. This has been episode 1 of The Block with Kidmodo. I want to thank Asher for coming on the show, and I want to thank you for listening. If you like this content, feel free to let me know, and we'll see you guys next time.